Welcome to the Opening Day Laundromat. The beautiful neon blue and green colors from the business sign pierced the dark, rain-filled night. As I walked into the small, quaint laundromat in the middle of town, the sound of raindrops hitting the windows welcomed me. The pitter-patter of rain on the roof mixed in well with the hum of the baby blue-colored washing machines and dryers. It sounded like a symphony of coziness. The smell of detergent and fabric softener filled my nostrils as I made my way to the nearest empty machine. The laundromat had a cozy atmosphere, with vintage posters hanging on the walls and a row of plastic chairs lined up against the wall. A small TV mounted in the corner was playing an old baseball game, but the sound was muted, drowned out by the sound of the machines. The rain outside made the place feel even more inviting. It was a refuge from the storm, a warm and dry place where people gathered to do their laundry. Despite being small, the laundromat was bustling with activity, with people sorting their clothes, loading them into machines, and folding them on tables. As I waited for my clothes to finish, I took a seat on one of the plastic chairs and watched the rain continue to pour outside. The droplets ran down the windows in rivulets, distorting the view of the street outside. The sound of tires splashing through puddles and people rushing to avoid the downpour could be faintly heard over the noise of the machines. In that moment, I felt a sense of calm and comfort. The rain outside only added to the cozy atmosphere of the laundromat, and I knew that when I left with my freshly cleaned clothes, I would step out into the fresh, clean scent of the rain-washed town. Naomi, a young woman in her 20s, caught my eye as she sorted her laundry in the laundromat with her punk rock style. Her bright pink hair was styled in a short bob with shaved sides that revealed intricate tattoo art. Heavy black eyeliner and dark lipstick accentuated her sharp features, and a nose piercing sparkled under the overhead light. She wore a black leather jacket with metal studs, paired with ripped jeans and high-top combat boots. Her t-shirt had a bold graphic design of a punk band, and she had multiple bracelets and rings with spikes and chains. As she bobbed her head to the music blasting through her headphones, tapping her foot in time with the beat, she exuded confidence and independence. Her punk rock style seemed to embody her rebellious spirit. Despite her edgy appearance, Naomi was friendly and helpful to the other patrons in the laundromat, offering to watch their machines while they ran errands or striking up conversations with those who shared her taste in music. Her laundry was a mix of band t-shirts, torn jeans, and colorful socks, reflecting her unique personality. As she loaded her clothes into the machine, I couldn't help but admire her bold and unapologetic style. She seemed to live life on her own terms, and her punk rock fashion was just one expression of that. As I take in the sights of the laundromat, I couldn't help but notice the sweet and playful banter between Beatrice and Peter, an old couple in their 70s, as they sorted their laundry. Despite the mundane task of doing laundry, they seemed to be having a great time. Beatrice was a small woman with curly gray hair and bright blue eyes. She wore a floral print dress and a pink cardigan. Peter was a tall man with thinning gray hair and a gentle smile. He wore a sweater vest and khaki pants. As they folded their clothes, Beatrice made a comment about how Peter always forgets to empty his pockets before doing laundry. Peter jokingly retorted, saying that she was the one who always leaves tissues in her pockets. They laughed together, their eyes crinkling with amusement. Their playful teasing continued as they loaded their clothes into the machines, with Beatrice telling Peter that he should take a turn doing the dishes when they got home, and Peter replying that he would if she promised to cook him his favorite meal. Their easy banter and obvious affection for each other were heartwarming to witness. It was clear that they had been together for a long time and had built a deep bond over the years. As they finished their laundry and made their way out of the laundromat, Beatrice leaned over and gave Peter a quick peck on the cheek, making him blush and chuckle. It was a small, sweet moment that made me feel grateful for the love and companionship that can endure for a lifetime. Jonathan, the owner of the laundromat, was a man in his 40s who sat in the corner of the room reading a comic book. He was dressed in a plain white t-shirt, faded blue jeans, and a pair of sneakers. His black-rimmed glasses sat perched on his nose, and he had a friendly smile on his face. Although he dressed casually, Jonathan was attentive and responsible as he kept a watchful eye on the patrons and machines. Periodically, he looked up from his comic book to check on the washers and dryers, ensuring that they were running smoothly and that nobody was having any issues. Jonathan's love for comic books was apparent, and he occasionally chuckled or made a comment about the story while reading. It was evident that he enjoyed having a quiet moment to himself, but he was always ready to assist if anyone needed him. When a customer approached him with a question about a machine, Jonathan set his comic book down and stood up with a friendly smile. He was patient and knowledgeable as he explained the different machines and settings, making sure that the customer understood how to use them properly. As the rain continued to fall outside, Jonathan returned to his corner and his comic book, keeping a watchful eye on the laundromat and its patrons. Despite the mundane nature of running a laundromat, he seemed content and happy, enjoying the simple pleasures of reading comics and providing a necessary service to his community. As I made my way through the laundromat, I caught a glimpse of Wally, the maintenance man, through a half-open door. He was in his early 60s, with a scruffy beard and a blue jumpsuit. He was hunched over a washing machine, peering inside as he worked on repairing it. Despite the dreary weather outside, Wally seemed to be enjoying himself, his hands deftly working to fix the machine. As he worked, he hummed a tune under his breath, lost in concentration. I watched him for a moment, fascinated by his skill and dedication to his work. The laundry machines were the lifeblood of this laundromat, and it was clear that Wally took his job seriously, ensuring that they were always in top working condition. After a few minutes, Wally finished his repairs and stood up, wiping his hands on a rag. He looked over in my direction and gave me a friendly nod before making his way out of the back room. As he passed by me, I thanked him for his hard work and dedication to keeping the machines running smoothly. He smiled warmly and replied that it was his pleasure, that he enjoyed seeing the laundromat running like clockwork. With a sense of gratitude for the people who keep our world moving behind the scenes, I continued on with my laundry adventure, confident that the laundromat was in good hands with people like Wally on the job. Isabel sat at the end of the line of seats against the wall, her eyes drooping and head nodding as she struggled to stay awake. She was a young woman, probably in her early 20s, with long brown hair pulled back into a messy bun. She wore a gray sweatshirt and black leggings, and her sneakers were untied. Isabel had been waiting for her laundry to finish for what felt like hours. She had already checked her phone a dozen times, scrolled through social media, and even attempted to read a book, but nothing seemed to keep her attention for long. As she sat there, her eyelids grew heavier and heavier, and she found herself nodding off more and more frequently. Her head would loll to the side, and she would jolt awake, her heart racing with the suddenness of it all. Despite her exhaustion, Isabel was determined to stay awake until her laundry finished. She knew that falling asleep in a public place was never a good idea, and she didn't want to risk missing her turn at the machines. With a deep breath, Isabel sat up a little straighter, determined to stay alert until the end. She rubbed her eyes and shook her head, hoping to clear the fog that seemed to be clouding her mind. As the minutes ticked by, Isabel's eyes grew heavier and heavier, until finally, with a soft sigh, she leaned her head back against the wall and gave in to sleep. As I watched Isabel drift off to sleep, I couldn't help but feel a sense of empathy for her exhaustion. It had been a long day, and the comforting hum of the washing machines and the gentle sound of rain outside made it all too easy to nod off. With a yawn, I leaned back in my seat and closed my eyes, enjoying the peacefulness of the laundromat. I let my mind wander, thinking of all the things I had accomplished that day and all the tasks that lay ahead. Before I knew it, I was drifting off to sleep, my body relaxing as I let go of all my worries and cares. The warmth of the laundromat and the sound of the rain outside made it all too easy to fall into a deep slumber. When I finally woke up, it was to the sound of Jonathan gently tapping me on the shoulder, letting me know that my laundry was done. I rubbed my eyes and stretched, feeling rested and rejuvenated despite my brief nap. As I gathered my things and made my way out of the laundromat, I couldn't help but feel grateful for the simple pleasures of life. Sometimes, all it takes is a quiet moment in a cozy spot to remind us of what's truly important: rest, relaxation, and a sense of peace. With a smile on my face and a spring in my step, I headed home to bed, ready to take on whatever the next day had in store.